know the famous William Shakespeare quote, right? If you can't meet your fictional husband, become your fictional husband. Right? Or am I mixing something up here? I'm not quite sure. Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lita. I am a fashion designer and a costume designer, and I'm also a weeb. I don't know if that's evident from my past videos. I do enjoy consuming anime very frequently, on the daily. I am obsessed. I can't financially recover from all the things that I purchased related to certain animes. But today I will be showing you guys a very exciting video. I have been working on this for the past month, and I have also been very bad at working at it because I've had so many other things happening in between the time of me making this cosplay. Before I get started, first of all, I wanted to say, guys, thank you so much for 400 subscribers. I can't believe that it's the middle of March. I started uploading back on this channel back in January, and we've already reached like such a milestone. We're very close to 500 now. Obviously, once I reach 500, it doesn't mean I start getting money automatically. I still need to get enough views, so if you guys do enjoy the videos that I upload, please share them. I would really appreciate it. I love you guys for all the support, and yeah, let's get into today's video. If you guys haven't been keeping up with the content that I make, I love making cosplays, and my shorts, reels that I post on my channels have shown that I've made cosplays from primarily only Sailor Moon and One Piece, but predominantly from One Piece. And if you've seen the characters that I've made, they are very popular and very well-loved antagonists from the series. If you don't know, in One Piece there's an organization that gets created much later in the series called the Cross Guild, and it features 3 very predominant characters in the story. We have Buggy the Clown, who was my first One Piece cosplay that I made for myself. We have Dracul Mihawk, who was the second one that I made. And for the third one, we have everyone's favorite middle-aged man with a receding hairline, Crocodile. Yeah, have you noticed there's a pattern going on here that I have never cosplayed a female character before? I know, it's great. I love it. I have a tendency of gender bending my cosplays as of recently, but it's been doing pretty well, so I got no hate towards that. I have been making One Piece cosplays for about a year now. This is my 3rd one that I've made for myself. One thing about this cosplay that I did struggle a little bit is that for the last 2 that I made, I included live action components. If you don't know, One Piece has its original manga adaptation, the anime that everyone knows and loves, and the more recent live action that is currently post-production for season 2 is happening right now. And Crocodile gets introduced in that season. Problem being, we don't know what he looks like, at least costuming wise. We know who plays him, but we don't know what he's gonna look like in universe. So I obviously had to be creative with how I create my look. So I decided, you know what? Just do my best with adapting that arc's costume and live with it, because obviously I can't predict the future. I don't know what he's gonna wear. Unless I somehow do that, which would be crazy. For this iteration of Crocodile, obviously I'm making his Alabasta outfit, which is his first appearance that we see of him in the series. In this version, he wears an orange vest with crossing black trim. In the manga, his sleeves are white. In the anime, his sleeves are orange, which I found ugly. So I stick to the manga colors for this entire cosplay. And with that included, he wears black pants, he has a green fur coat, which was, making that one was fun. I think that's it. Yeah. And of course he has his iconic hook, which I had commissioned by Drop Pop Creates. I was very grateful for them to make this hook for me. That is the rundown of what I'm gonna be making. Basically, this is what the cosplay is gonna look like. I don't know if it's picking up on camera. It's probably like the simplest one I had to make. There weren't many super crazy things involved in this cosplay, so I did have to go with my own creative detailing. That is, I guess, all for this segment. I don't know what else to say. If you guys enjoy this video, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more content. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, let me know how it goes, how you guys like it. When cutting out the pieces for the top, because of the way that the pattern is placed, I had to make sure I was cutting everything one after the other, meaning that I had to make sure the lines were lining up, because when I would be sewing them on, the lines would have to be lined up on the side seams, which inevitably did not do it 100%, but I was more concerned about the front, because again, the back wasn't as visible. For some reason, I've noticed this every time I start working on a cosplay, or really just most multi-set costumes pieces in general, I always start with the pants. I don't know why, I guess they're just the fastest and easiest thing to finish. Every time! I'm overreacting, by the way. It was just a pinch. But sometimes it can be worse. For these pants in particular, I wanted to add pockets following the pattern. I could have chosen to opt out of it, but because I would probably be wearing these on regular outside of the cosplay, I thought that it would be very convenient for me, and so I decided to keep them. So when it comes to me making cosplays, I am a very detail-oriented person. I felt like for Crocodile's suit, it should be very, you know, detailed, bespoke looking, almost like someone made it for him custom. So I am a proud owner of a brother in Novus, what are you, the Dream Creator. And what that means is I can make embroidery. So I'm currently looking through different styles that I could potentially incorporate into the outfit, because I want to be honest, right now, based on the original design I'm following, there's kind of nothing going on with his cosplay. So I was thinking that if we want to give it a little extra spice, extra pizzazz, I wanted to add some embroidery to the pants somewhere, and also potentially to his collar. So the vest I'm more or less keeping restricted with what I'm adding additionally, because I'm already going to be adding black trim to make the cross paths. But for everything else, the pants, the collars, maybe even the cuffs if I'm feeling bold, but the cuffs are made of satin, so I don't know if I want to risk it. We'll see, maybe a border embroidery of some kind, but generally, I just feel like it needs more. I feel like something has to be added. So I was thinking of some ideas what my machine can give me, because I do have pre-installed designs on there. So it's mostly a lot of flowers, but Crocodile's thing is that he kind of embellishes a desert flower. It's a desert lily. So I was looking for some designs to potentially mimic a desert lily, or kind of give off that desert vibe, if you will. Anyways, we're gonna look through them. I'll show you guys what I decide, and I will see how I can execute that. So I just looked through my machine's embroidery settings to check out what kind of designs they have available for me to use, and I landed on 5 different ones. They're like these very intricate looking, kind of florally baroque sort of designs. So I'm figuring out which ones I like the most and where I should put them on the pants, because I don't want to overdo it, but I also just want to give the pants an extra something to them, because they just, on their own, they're kind of giving nothing. But I think the embroidery will definitely give it some extra life. So I'm going to kind of like compare it to the pants and see what sticks. And then I'm also planning on making a border embroidery on the collar and probably the cuff. I mentioned that in the last clip. But yeah, also I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a Baroque Works emblem on anything. I was thinking the tie, but because the tie has this like very detailed paisley design on it, I'm not sure if the logo will like clash with it. I'm still thinking where I might put it. Maybe on like one side of the collar will say Mr. Zero, other side will be Baroque Works. Although I feel like it's sort of, you know, throwing it out there that, oh, this is the guy. But I mean, at that point, you know, whatever. I'll think about it. But for now, we're just going to be deciding what I'm going to be putting on the pants. And once I do that, I will show you guys the color choosing process. Starting out with the top vest section, I start by lining up where I want my embroidery to land. I was a little annoyed over the fact that the design itself was very small and that I couldn't make it any bigger than I wanted to. I think it was like a 10 by 9 centimeter design. I really wish it was a bit bigger because whatever, I can live with it. When embroidering on any fabrics with a sewing machine, you always start by adding a stabilizer underneath, then follow it with the fabric, and then sandwich it with the frames. The stabilizer helps with making sure that your embroidery stays where it should be, and also it keeps it straight when it's sewing. Sometimes it doesn't always work out for me. I somehow find ways to mess this up, and my problem is that the pins were not held in the proper place. But overall, looking at the finished product, you can't really tell that I made that little fumble, but yeah, I do wish I paid attention to it earlier because it was kind of noticeable if you look back at it. Once putting the pant legs together, I am testing out the sizing of the pants. This is before adding the hem and before adding the waistband, and this is my second time using this pattern, so I wasn't too concerned about fitting. Next, I have to add the side placket thing for where the button closure goes, because that, needs to be there, or else the pants will be a little too small on me. Once I add the waistband onto the pants, the last step I need to do for the upper half is to sew on the snaps. There were a total of 4 on each end. Thank goodness I didn't have to sew in a zipper, because honestly sometimes these can take longer than sewing snaps by hand, in my opinion. Sometimes I just not very good at that. Once we finish with that, last thing I have to do is add a hem. This is before I decided to add a trim at the bottom. I spent a bit of time figuring out how to make a blind hem stitch. I realized, well, I kind of knew about this, I was just being ignorant. I realized I had a foot for that, so this is me using the technique, but here we are. This is the final look we have going on. Again, as you can see, these pants can be worn outside of the cosplay. It is not exclusive to the costume itself. And with that finished, it is time for the top. Alright, so here is the vest part of the shirt. Obviously, I haven't connected the sleeves yet. They will be going on here later. And I don't know if you guys figured this, but the vest and the shirt are going to be one piece. I'm not making them two separate things because I don't have the time nor energy to make a separate vest with a separate shirt. I've decided to just go with this. Also, it's better for me so that I don't sweat, because wearing a big heavy coat over top is going to be really difficult to manage multi-layer clothing as well. So, also, if I sound a little weird, I'm sick. But yeah, I have the vest here pretty much cut out. I might cinch it a little bit more. I do want it to be a bit more fitted. I don't want it to be too loose. But it will be obviously buttoned up here. There will be a closure, and I guess it will kind of bring it closer to me. But, I mean, I might do a little more, because the pattern itself was already bigger on me. I have to add in the collars. I also have to add in the placement for the... So I'm adding, I think I mentioned this earlier, but I'm adding enhancements for the bust so that my bust looks a little bigger. Because a bra will not get the job done as well as inserts. So we'll see how that works. That's how it is right now. And I'm gonna get the sleeves on and then figure out the enhancements. If you guys have seen my other 2 previous cosplay process videos, I mentioned how I want to try to stick to the source material as closely as I can, but also add my own creative liberties. So aside from the embroidery on the pants and the top, this is my, I guess you could call it, deviation from the original design. His shirt primarily had like very normal cuffs, so I decided to make mine look extra cute, extra fancy, and followed the original pattern that I was already using, and that one had these high-low cuffs that looked really cool, so I decided to stick with those. They were lined, so they kind of were a little thick, and I decided that I wanted to add a decorative stitch all around it, which I'm gonna be honest with you guys, that was so frustrating to work with because the satin was not always 100% cooperating with me, and also the fact that it was hard to align everything. The stitching just was not working with me 100% of the time, so I had to sort of swallow up my pride in some case, I guess, if that's the right term to use, and just let it go as it is. But I think it overall turned out really good. I don't know what you guys think. A lot of people didn't really look too closely at the details of my cosplay, but generally speaking, I was happy with it. Okay, so update on the top. I don't know if I probably have some footage for this, but I did update it. I changed it from last time. Hold on, I'm listening to a video. Let's pause it. Anyways, I made some alterations. Originally, it was looking a little too big for me, and I don't like it. Also, apparently, I went back and looked at the original design of the vest portion, and turns out the sleeves are actually kind of, I think they're set in. Or is it called raglan? I don't remember what the version is, but it's the one that goes inwards, not outwards. So I had to do some cutting, and I adjusted it. Now it looks a lot better, in my opinion. And another thing I did is I cinched the sides a little bit to make it a bit more tighter on me because it was very loose and I didn't like it. And the other part was I made the V-neck more plunged. Obviously, it's going to look more plunged once I add the lining and it all folds in. Again, my voice sounds like crap because I'm sick right now. But yeah, this is the update. I think this is how I'm going to stick to it now. Now I'm going to be adding the trim. I'm going to be adding the trim. And yeah, that is what I'm going to be doing next. So yeah, this is the final cut of everything. Obviously I have to add buttons later, but that's going to be like the last thing I do for the top. So also the sleeves are done. I'm going to put them on after I put on the trim. Yeah. And now it's time for the most grueling process of the entire top, and that was adding the trim. So initially when I was looking at the shirt and testing out the trim length, I realized I don't have enough of this trim. So I had to go back to the fabric store and get more of it, which thankfully I overbought a little bit more, and it was just enough for me to leave a little extra if I needed it. But yeah, this process took me like a while. I first started off with sectioning horizontally so that I can make sure that the horizontal lines were all lined up, because again, as I mentioned earlier, the front pieces and the back piece are not 100% lining up, so making sure that that is correct on both sides was extremely important for me. And as you can see in this clip, I am cutting out the section where the embroidery hits because I want the embroidery to be visible and I didn't want it to be blocked off by the trim. So aligning everything up was super important early on, and I was very glad with how it turned out. This is when literally nobody was at home and I was just jamming out to Lady Gaga. I have not listened to the new album yet. This is just me singing Disease. Technically it's part of the album. I just haven't listened to the rest of the songs. But I was going off here. Putting on the sleeves, by the way, if you can't tell what I'm doing from the dancing. Okay, so I'm just now realizing something. I think one of my fabrics that I'm using, it's either the facing, or like the outside fabric, or the lining has a running dye, because ever since I started the project, sorry, I look scary like this, holy shit. Okay, I'm gonna be like this. Ever since I started the project, just now I noticed that my machine looks a little dirty. And I was like, what did I do to make it like this? And then it hit me, wait, it's like a rust orange color. So now I don't know who the culprit is, because on one hand, the Bemberg lining, because it's Bemberg lining. If you don't know, Bemberg lining is very expensive. It's like roughly $30 a meter, give or take, depending on where you're buying it. I got mine for clearance, $3 a meter. There was a bunch of it. Like, I got a ton. I have a ton of this lining, and I don't know if that's the culprit, or if it's the facing outside fabric that could also be it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I don't know if it's picking up. I think you could see it. There's like some coloring here. Ignore the scratches. Those come as they are. But there's like, you see all of this here, this stuff over there. This is all new. I haven't had any kind of like dirt like this before, and I noticed it recently. So, okay, it may have been from when I was sewing so it could actually be this fabric. I don't know. I did not clean this fabric prior to using it. I don't ever do it, which is probably a bad thing, especially considering this is going to be on white contact with this color. But it could be this fabric, honestly. It's a suede. It has this brown backing to it. I'm not 100% sure if that's the culprit, but I'm trying to, yeah, no, nothing's coming onto it, but it's one of these two. I don't know which one. Probably this one. Probably. But I'm not 100% sure yet. But yeah, no, I'm gonna have to, probably wipe my machine down a little bit because it's looking kind of ugly. Before I attached the lining, I had to sew on the collar pieces, which I don't really have much footage of because this was literally the day before the con, or the day before I had to wear it, so I was more or less crunching on time and just trying to record clips of the more crucial parts, which is primarily me sewing. But yeah, I had to draft out everything myself, and then I have the buttons and this completion of the top. Folks, it is time for me to finally tackle the thing that I've been dreading to touch this entire period of the cosplay. Also, if my voice sounds dead, you can thank the person who's on this sweater. I was at a Baby No Money concert yesterday, so my voice is gone. I'm doing my best. I have to start the coat, which is what we're gonna be doing now. You see this fabric right here, this beautiful pile right there? That's our coat in its uncut form. I have cut out the pattern pieces. I had to cut into a 1980s pattern, which it was inevitable. I wasn't gonna draft out my own coat, and I only have a week left, and I have work tomorrow, and then I have the rest of this week to complete it because on Friday I'm going to Comic-Con. Yeah. So yeah, that's the plan. Anyways, let's get started. Here's what the fabric looks like opened up. As you can see, there are perforations in the fabric as it is quilted. It has 3 layers. Essentially, it has the upper layer, which is that green fur. It has the middle layer, which you could see is the batting. And it has the under layer, which is the lining, which helps a lot in the way that it's constructed. Every now and then I think, maybe I should invest in pattern weights or something like that. Because I'm always constantly, searching for things to put my patterns down on. Usually I revert to my iPad, my microphone, and my phone, but my phone's recording. My iPad's already here, but the pattern piece is very big, and when I'm on the floor cutting it out, so I might have to buy them at some point. in the near future. Yeah, that would help a lot, I believe. When working with any kinds of fur, you always want to work on the back side instead of the top side. And again, for this fabric, I also had to make sure that everything was lining up when I was placing the patterns. So when I was doing the coat, I had to, once I finished with the pattern, I flipped it over and put it directly next to it, making sure that all the lines were lining up horizontally, because well, actually not horizontally. This one is going vertically. I forgot. So if you didn't notice, Crocodile's coat has 2 paths that the patterns go. So for the body, the pattern goes vertically while the sleeves are horizontal. This is just from like part of one of the facings. There's more. All of this. It's from both. And then there's our glorious pile of fur that I've dealt with, and then what I have left to deal with. So yeah, now it's time to iron everything out. Right here. Because the fabric store that I went to didn't have the fur trim that I was looking for, I instead found this fabric that had these lines that I can cut into, and they ended up being the perfect width for the actual strips. Obviously, I had to fold them in and make them a little bit smaller, but it turned out really good. And look who decides to walk right down here. Sneaky little cat. I'm like the Crocodile meme where after he gets defeated by Luffy, he's in this pose with his coat. This is how big it is for comparison. To me, at least. I'm getting in character, guys, okay? Alright, time to put it all together. Because of how thick the fabric was getting as I was putting everything together, I had to switch over to using clips to grab onto the pieces, because, you know, pins just become obsolete as they start bending, and we don't want that. So clips are always the way. This thing's very heavy. I really hope the magnets somehow stay on the shirt. And if they become obsolete, then I mean, whatever. It's heavy enough to sit on me, so I'm not having a problem with that. Staying on, at least. It's not gonna blow away in the wind or anything, but it's heavy enough to sit on me, so I'm not having a problem with that. Staying on, at least. It's not gonna blow away in the wind or anything, but Here we go. Wish luck on my machine. I'm scared. With sewing everything together, we finally have the outer layer. Obviously this is before the lining and before the fur, but this is just me kind of trying it on, seeing how it looks from the outside. As you can tell, I'm very happy with the result. It sits really well. I knew it was going to be heavy, but it's totally fine. Now it's time to put on the fur. From this point on, I was crunching like a mad woman. I wasn't able to really capture a lot of footage of me finishing the coat, but basically I did not have time to add the lining in. I did cut it out and put the lining together with itself, but I had no time to attach the lining to the coat itself. So without the lining, I had to hand stitch a lot of the fur onto the coat so that it doesn't drag around and look weird, even though there was no lining. I will add lining for the future. But with all that being said, here's the final reveal. And with that, that concludes the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy this kind of content, if you want to see me make more cosplays, what kind of other videos you want to see from me, what you guys enjoy about my videos, I would love to know that, because I feel like having an audience who watches videos of me making stuff can be kind of lucrative. I don't know, apparently people like this kind of stuff. So let me know what you enjoy from my videos. If this is your very first video that you watched, make sure to check out my other videos where I make other things, including my Infinity Nikki First Love outfit. I've also made a few things using vintage sewing patterns, so be sure to check those out as well. We have a lot of fun on those videos. As I've stated earlier, my next uploads will probably not be for a bit. I do plan, again, making a prolonged series of videos where I'm just working on my collection. I probably will not be posting final results of them until they are publicly shown at the show that I'll be in. Oh, my ring almost fell. Keep an eye out on that. Make sure to follow me on all of my socials. It is Lita is Juno everywhere. We have Instagram, TikTok, Rednote, here. That's it. And Blue Sky, I guess. I'm not often on Blue Sky, but if you want to follow me there, sure. But yeah, that'll be all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, make sure to leave a like, comment what you enjoyed, comment what you would have done differently. Let me know what you want to see more of. And yeah, I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Sand powers. Rah. Or what does he do? No, that's Robin. Sashiburi da na, Mugiwara. I'm done.